And so, something that I've wanted to talk about for a while now is, if you wanted to see a movie about slavery, about emancipation, racism, there's plenty of movies out there for you. But if you wanted to see a movie about a real American hero like Booker T. Washington, you're just not going to be able to see one. Not till you reach back into about 1984, and it was well done, but that's a long time ago when you have all these big Hollywood stars stepping up to play, in movies like Glory, The Color Purple, Emancipation, Amistad, Roots, 12 Years as a Slave, and a lot of others. But Booker T, well, that's a story that they don't want to tell, and here's why. Booker T. Washington was a freed slave who taught himself how to read, and then later on, he got a college education. He built the college Tuskegee University from the ground up, a college that still stands to this day and is thriving. He and his family lived in an 8-bedroom mansion that was on the university grounds. He was an advisor to two sitting U.S. presidents, President Roosevelt and President Taft. Booker T. Washington was successful and wealthy, and he impressed on his students that they work hard, be accountable, with no excuses. W. E. B. Du Bois was an activist and an editor, and he was not at all impressed with Washington. He felt as though Washington was an advocate of segregation and black inferiority. Du Bois didn't understand that Washington was the right leader for the right time. The first black politicians were elected in 1870. Washington's monumental speech in Atlanta was in 1895. Slavery officially ended in 1865. In 1910, Madam C.J. Walker established herself as one of the first black millionaires in America. Segregation ended in 1964. So, what does that all mean? It means that between slavery ending and civil rights beginning, there were 100 years of progress that doesn't get addressed. We tend to blend slavery and segregation together. We only have images of lynchings and police brutality. We don't think of that time period as being the rise of black politicians and black millionaires. The horror experienced by slaves and their immediate descendants doesn't compare to the stories and pictures. Those people lived that horror, but also it doesn't acknowledge that black society was continually progressing. And it was because of strong spirited, hard-working people like Booker T. Washington. He dedicated his entire life to the advancement of black people, but Hollywood actors would rather portray slaves than a leader of that era because a man like Booker T. Washington destroys narratives and agendas. Imagine Harriet Tubman smuggling slaves using the Underground Railroad. Where was she taking them to? She was taking them from the South to a better place. America was always becoming a better place. Booker T. Washington funded the legal cases and the publications that were his biggest critics. He did this secretly, but he still did it. Washington secured business deals that resulted in the building of 5,000 schools for black children in rural areas, but they still want to say he was a sellout and an Uncle Tom. Washington had many good quotes, and this is a quote that made him popular and unpopular. There is another class of colored people who make a business of keeping the troubles and wrongs and the hardships of the Negro race before the public. Having learned that they are able to make a living out of their troubles, they have grown into the title habit of advertising their wrongs, partly because they want sympathy and partly because it pays. Some of these people do not want the Negro to lose his grievances because they do not want to lose their jobs. Leave it to Hollywood to continue to make movies about being a slave rather than being free.